Good morning, everybody. Well, good morning for myself. I'm sure it's good afternoon, wherever you are in the world, wherever you are in Europe. My name is Kyle Hermans. I'm a co-founder and CEO of Be Courageous, which is a global digital-first business consultancy. We're based in San Francisco. And I have been working on facilitating, guiding, and advising breakthroughs for generally Fortune 500 companies, small to medium enterprises, as well as startups, which is why this community is, I think, one of the most important, because this is about bringing new ideas and new energy into the world. And it is such a pleasure to be here with you today. We'll be talking about mindset and going deep on mindset. So I have some content here to show you, which I'd love to. And please let me know, can you all see this still? I'm going to be moving myself down to the corner, be presenting some slides over here. And just let me know. Great, fantastic. So today we're talking about mastering your mindset, which is your startup's biggest asset, because it's your mind, it's you and your mind that is going to be responsible for helping to keep the vision and grow your company with all of the various conditions that are going on in the world. So I would love to get started. You can get me on LinkedIn or Instagram. We're posting content there every single day. Welcome to email me if there's any other questions after this. And at the end of this presentation, I also have a bonus link for you for some extra content to continue your journey. And I really hope that you've had an amazing conference here today. And thank you again to Jason and Nina and all the rest of the folk at Upstart for allowing us to have this amazing platform and to connect with humans like yourselves all around the world who are looking to pioneer the startup world, which is amazing, and all the technology. And I celebrate each and every single one of you for having been here today and being at this conference today, expanding your mind, navigating your energy, and pushing really forward. So let's get started. Today, I'm sure you've heard this a lot. I haven't been able to see if all the speakers are talking about the same thing, but it is so important to set context this morning. Today, right now, as we are connecting on this incredible platform all around the world, this is the slowest rate of change you will ever experience again for the rest of your life. And what that means is that you and everything around you, the world as we know it, is changing and evolving at such an exponential rate. Everything around us is changing. Just think about this year alone, the disruptions and all the changes. Fantastic, right? Now, there's a couple things when we talk about mindset. How do we think and perceive what it is that we're experiencing? You can put this in the chat box. How many have heard the term V.U.C.A? Volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous. A statement built out of post-war times, which was the state of the world after we've been in major conflict. Right now, we're living in a V.U.C.A state. Complex, ambiguous, uncertain. It's one of those things where for us, we have to start mastering how do we approach the opportunities with our minds of what's presented to us right now in the world. We can either be leaning in and moving towards what we want or away from what we don't want. We can either be seeing the world as abundant, meaning there's plenty of opportunity, or through the lens of scarcity, meaning there's not enough for everyone and that we cannot see a way through. Or there's the mindset of cause and effect. Am I at the effect of everything that's happening, or am I contributing to causing the changes that are possible and happening? Our mindset is so incredibly important. Now, one of the things from psychology, something I've been practicing, neuro-linguistic programming, something I've been practicing for many decades, is that anything that happens to us in our lives comes through our filters. It comes through our perception. I'll show you over here on the slide. There's an external event that happens. It has to pass through our biases, our beliefs, all of our filters. It has to come into our internal reality, into the way we think, into how we've constructed our mind and our mental models of how we perceive the world. It has to connect to our internal state, our emotions, how we feel and sense about a situation. Then it has to pass back through our filters. And we have to be very mindful about what are we distorting, generalizing, deleting, or dismissing before we start to act towards that event outside. Our mindset, as you can see here, is such a major sense of perception for us. So for any of you here, please put it in the chat box. Are you the founder of a startup? Are you launching a new product? Are you in the throes of a small to medium enterprise that's rapidly growing? I'm sure you can understand that our mindset is one of the most important things here, and how we perceive our reality is one of the most important things here. So let's get into mastering it right now. What we've learned in cognitive psychology, in our neuro-linguistic programming, in facilitating many sessions where we're helping organizations get breakthroughs, our mind has two different sides to it. We know the left brain, the right brain, the analytical and the creative. But what we found is that our mind has two different ways of perceiving reality, and we cannot be in both of those at the same time. What's super interesting here is we have the world of operation, discipline, structure. Our operational mind is the one that, think of it as if you're getting in the car in the morning and turning the key. When cars used to have keys, it's all changing now, right? But the operational mind is the one that keeps us on the growth and the scale that we have learned how to build the foundations into the operations of our system. It is a very linear way of doing things. On the other side, our mind has a creative mind. This is the mind of the unknown. This is the mind of speculation. This is the mind of being free of judgment, our creative mind. Now, what's very interesting is that the way we perceive the world through our creative mind or our operational mind, very different. If I had to take this room, divide us in half and say, half of you go off and do a very creative act, and the other half of you, I want you to do a very strategic operational act. Come back and talk to each other about what you're doing. You will notice that the way we speak to each other, the way we either embrace or reject ideas will be different because of our state of mind. For us as entrepreneurs, for us as growing startups, and I'm in a growing startup too, 4 years, and this is my third venture, Be Courageous. It's going really great. But we still have to keep the mind of the entrepreneur, the startup mindset, is that over here, our job is to be in a place that is between the operational and the creative mind. So we know when to flex and lean in. When is the time to be creative and speculative and go create new? When is the time to double down and operate, implement, and launch? Now, with all of that complexity going on in the world, we've established a new system here, which is that there's so many hats that an entrepreneur and the founder of a startup and anybody working in young, growing businesses, you have to be multi-dexterous. We've got to be able to do so many things at the same time. You've got to lead, you've got to get your hands dirty, you've got to be able to think big, you have to be, down in the details. You've got to think about the future. You also have to think about implementation. We have to pivot. There's so many different roles. Multi-dexterity is going to be one of the most amazing and masterful skills for you as an entrepreneur going forward. Now, multi-dexterity, I want to be able to lean into that. I'm going to give you a framework here that if you're standing in a central place, you can think of yourself, for anybody that does martial arts, or even as you're standing, gaining your balance. Multi-dexterity is a point of system, which is that if you are in a strong mindset, if you can master and manage your mindset, you're able to pivot and lean in different directions and come back to a very clear point of center. So I'm going to take you through a couple of these things. If you imagine that the mindset is in the middle, knowing that we have to pivot between when is the right time to create, when is the right time to flex and operate. From the center here, one of the most important things up front is when we want to move multi-dexterity is upwards, is to ask your mind and to challenge your mindset to know what it is that you're doing the things for. Because in the business of creating startups, in growing young companies, one of the things that often gets neglected when we're scaling, growing, having to manage limited finances, figuring out how to make really strategic choices, is what are we doing it for? What is our why? What is our purpose? So if we lean up into purpose, for all of you that are starting companies, there's a few things that I'm just going to plant a seed here for you. Is what is the bigger thing that you are creating and growing your company for? What is the bigger thing, your internal why, when you get up in the morning, that moves your mindset? It motivates your mindset. What is the challenge that you're looking to try to solve? And there are a lot of amazing challenges going on right now. The world needs help. It needs you to be able to step up. It needs your brilliant mind to step in. When we talk about global grand challenges, there's so many opportunities to create new products, build new startups, bring these powerful technologies that you're working on to be able to solve things that are bigger than just you and I, much bigger than just profit and revenue. Of course, we all want to be wealthy, We want to be able to create amazing things, bring impact to the world. But what is that big impact that when you hit all the things that you want, your mind is guiding you towards something bigger than just yourself? A lot of things here: energy crises, environment, food, global health, governance. And then, of course, the SDGs or the others, the Sustainable Development Goals. There are so many areas of opportunity for us to be able to lean in and do something for the world. Now, our purpose is so important, because purpose, when you elevate that high up in altitude, your mind starts to create and feed you really interesting ideas. It helps keep you guided. You don't get lost as much in the inertia of the details of building and growing a startup when you are shooting for something far bigger than yourself. Purpose is so important. Now, the other thing about purpose, I'm going to show you here when we're doing NLP, is just how far out are you allowing your mindset to think? How extreme are you going? Just think about the last couple of weeks. For those of you that are tracking technologies and exponential technologies, we've had some significant breakthroughs. We've got flying cars. We are moving to other planets. We have record-breaking speed and processing power and quantum computing. There are things that are happening right now in the world, like Neuralink, putting chips in our mind, where we can upload our brains into the internet, where we can connect on a completely different meta level. These were once fantasy stories just a year or two ago. Now they're reality. So our opportunity for our mindset to think about what kind of challenge we're trying to solve, for what purpose, is so much bigger than us. It is so much bigger than us. So there's a thing that we work with when we push and challenge companies and our leaders that we work with to think big, to think far out. This is about being courageous. If you think about now and you think about the future, what we like to do is reverse engineer possibility. We want to solve for the present from the future. This is how we shift our thinking. This is how we challenge our mindset, solving for the present from the future. We want to be able to go out into an extremely interesting world in our minds and imaginations, and then be able to grab something from really far out and build it back into the now, rather than standing in the now, trying to create the future from the present. When we try to take the future from the present, or create the future from the present, we're carrying so much legacy with us. We're carrying all of our history. We're carrying all of that baggage. And what makes it really hard is for us to be able to apply what was in the past to a future while still allowing a really exciting future to take hold. There's so much for us to have to unlearn. Our mind has to let go of things in order to be able to embrace and perceive a greater future. Our mindset has to be elevated to a greater sense of purpose. So, couple of things. When we look for amazing new things here, rationality, we can look at ideas in the world that are rational, they've been done before, we can build on them. We can look for diversity, other industries and other markets, things we can be inspired by. But then we can go to a place of wishing. Is there something going on in the world that is challenging our own thinking, and we're wishing for something that doesn't exist? Let's start to explore that through the lens of metaphor. What are other worlds that have already achieved the thing that you'd like to achieve, but it's very different from your one? And then there's the pieces which I love the most, ideas that come to us that seem irrelevant to today. They seem illegal and immoral based on the rules and structures of today. But if we allow our minds to challenge what is and challenge our beliefs, it is extraordinary what kind of purpose we can start drawing ourselves to. So our mind has to reach the destination before our life does. Every major entrepreneur that has ever created any form of success or breakthrough that has really redefined the world, their imagination has reached a destination before the world has even caught up. They've felt it, they've embodied it, they've sensed it through their being, and then their purpose has been to drive it, and the mind starts to provide the resources for you to get there, right? So the purpose, so we're pivoting. We're the entrepreneur, our mindset. We have to be multidexterous. So one of the things you got to do is that if you're void of or lacking of inspiration, if there's siloing going on in your business, if things feel hard in the day, remind yourself, what am I doing that for? Let the mind elevate. That's moving up, multidexterity. The second one is your energy. Where are you placing your energy? Where are you placing your strategy? It's so important. The 4 types of futures ahead of us. There's the one that you chase, which is where you are going after somebody else's dreams and legacy. There's the one that you defend, which is where you have a certain idea and you will not, it's basically where often that defending legacy compromises on progress. Defending what is doesn't always leave us open to what might be coming. Our mindset in a place of defense is actually quite closed. There's the one that you want to improve. The one improves where you look around at everybody else and say, well, I can do what they're doing better. But what if they're not in the right conversation? What if things are advancing and moving? Our mindset is hungry to be able to push. Then there's the one that you create. The future that you create is the one that you lean into and say, how would I like this to look? Where would I love this to go? What is it that I can do with my unique mind and unique powers and specialty? One of the things that we found in the world, and you'll see this all around the world right now, we need to start to come together and collaborate and coordinate more. The world in certain places and in certain situations is quite punishing. And what we've noticed, the mind will self-protect. It won't share good ideas. It won't contribute good, positive energy to solving big things if it's feeling punished, if it's feeling threatened. It will fall back down the scale and keep all of the gold and treasures in your mind to yourself if you're in a punishing environment. But if we together can start to support each other and move up to a cooperative, more collaborative, and more creative space with each other, we will start to give more mental energy over solving some of the biggest things in the world. So our energy is critically important. Where are we placing our energy, and what is the energy that we're bringing into a situation? So again, you're pivoting up to elevate. You're pivoting to figure out where your energy is going. The third one is about competence. Competence with the mindset is your mind is neuroplasticity. It wants to learn. It is hungry. It is an absorbing machine. 4 ways that people approach competence is that we may be just floating through the world and our mind is just there. We've learned something and now we're going to stick with that one thing. We don't see the opportunities around us to learn, to stretch, to learn from each other, to build bridges, to challenge ourselves with growth, to reestablish what's important to us at our core. For those that don't see the opportunity, it's a very interesting existence. Then there's those that see the opportunity, like you know that there's things going on, then you know that your mind can be used for so much more, but we don't do anything about it. We're not practicing, we're not learning, we're not being open, we're not challenging, we're not questioning. The third one is those that see. They see an opportunity, they see what the possibility is for their business, for their mind, like right now what's going on in the world. Some see it as all the opportunities are gone. Others see it as the most explosive time ever in the history of the human race as being full of opportunity to be able to go help, support, create, develop. But they see the opportunity and they go solve it. The opportunity that's right in front of them and the moment that's right in front of them. And then the fourth one is those, which I believe all of you here and in this conference are the ones. We anticipate the opportunity and we go solve ahead of it. Our mindset launches out into the future and pulls back all the resources that we need. So we're pivoting up from a mindset perspective. We're going up into purpose. Why does all of this matter? Energy, competence in terms of leaning. Then the fourth one that I think is one of the most important that brings us all together is courage. Our mind is fearless if we allow it to. It's just our thinking that puts blockages on it. Now, there's something that we found in all of our work in courage that says that courage in the dictionary, if you go look it up, it's listed as a noun. It's a thing. We think that's wrong. We think that Webster, the dictionaries may not have got it fully right. We believe that courage is a verb. It is a sense of action. It isn't just a thing that's static. It's something we have to create and go and lean into. The mind is a courageous machine. It wants to go out. It wants to challenge. It wants to help you grow. It wants to take you to destinations and places that you've never been. We have to think of courage as an action. How am I going to courage today? And what we've learned is that the greatest entrepreneurs using their minds from a startup, this greatest asset is the fact that micro moments of courage lead you into better futures. Imagine the situation today. You have an opportunity. If you can lean into that and bring courage to that situation or create courage in that situation, that micro moment will become and exponentially change so much different in the future based on your actions today. The mind wants to, and it gives you and it reveals to you amazing opportunities. Do we act on them or do we not? That's up to us. So for us, I would say, where are you bringing courage into your startup? Where are you bringing courage into the technology developing? Where are you bringing courage into the people that you're supporting? Where are you bringing courage into the impact that you're trying to make? Where are you bringing courage into your communities as a role model? Where are you bringing courage? Where can you? And what would courage look like if it was present there for you? When you do this, the mind starts to change. The energy and physiology in your body starts to change. This is why it's your biggest asset. Because you, when you're mastering your mindset, can create anything that you want in the future. And by creating anything you want in the future, it gives possibility to everybody else. So the statement for you, as we move to some Q&A in a minute here, is about courage the future. Courage it. It's an action. It's not a noun, it's a verb. It's a doing. Courage the future. Lean in. Elevate up to purpose. Lean into your energy. Lean into your competence. Always be open. Always be learning, because your mindset will grow with you, and it will start to direct and guide you to places that we've never seen if we can lean into that fear with courage. So I thank you so much for this opportunity to speak with you all. I thank you for the time that we've had here together. I see we've just gone a couple minutes over. I'd love to open it up for any questions in the chat. But one of the things that I would love to leave you with right here, that I do for everybody that I get to speak with. So you can connect with me on LinkedIn. You can connect with me on Instagram. Here's my email. If anybody has any extra questions over here, go to this web address, becourageousinnovation.com/bonus. Password is courage. There's a few assets there for you. For any of you that are struggling to find your purpose, there is a template. There's a video of me talking to you about how to find it with some worksheets. There's some other leadership aspirations for any of you leading companies, just some quick 5-6 minute videos with some worksheets, and then some other assets there. And I update those regularly based on things that myself and the team are doing. But I thank you. I applaud you. I celebrate you for being here. I celebrate you for pushing your mindset. And just remember, mastering your mindset starts with you. It is your startup's biggest asset. And there's so much more that your mind will do for you if you put it to work. So with that, I thank you so much. My name is Kyle, and I'll open it up to any questions that anybody has right now. Let's see. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, Bettina. Thank you, Jane, Louise, Annie, Julia, Eric. Appreciate you all. Anybody got a question about any of this that we've just talked about? And I know the conference is full with amazing speakers. I don't want to keep you from anybody else. This was such a gift and a blessing just to be able to speak with you. Thank you to all the folk at Upstart as well. But does anyone have a question? Are you running a startup? Is there something that you're struggling with? Is there something that you're questioning? I'm happy to stay on here and connect with you, chat with you, and please put your questions in the chat box. Thank you, Maria. Thanks, Jasmine. Oh, thanks, Jane. Lacking confidence in your ideas. Would you like to give an example, or how would you like me to help you there? So let me jump in on that one, Jane, just as you're getting some thoughts together there. Aha, okay, got it. So this is an important one. I'm going to ask you this. When you have an idea, remember I showed you that climate energy chart, which is that often our ideas inside of us is that we may feel very vulnerable if it's pushing a boundary, if it's challenged something that exists. And our confidence comes from the voices that we hear inside of our mind. Is it our voice or is it somebody else's voice? We are gifted with ideas all day long. We're gifted with opportunity. You are the one that is gifted an idea in your mind. No one else out there was gifted that moment that other than you. What ends up happening though is that all the other voices in the world will start to question, can we do it? Can we not do it? Am I good enough? Am I an imposter here? Do I have the credibility? You know, am I the one that should be doing this idea? All of those things. If you tune into that piece of where does the lack of confidence come, it usually comes from the fact that we're listening to someone's voice that isn't our own. Now, they weren't gifted that idea. You were. Now, one of the things that we have to do is step into our power and say, whose voice am I listening to? If it isn't yours, then slowly, there's almost this game. You can tune the volume of those voices down. You can push them a little bit further back, and then spend more time focusing on that idea. What is that idea asking of you? What is that idea wanting you to go and do? And if we start those micro courageous moments, what's the courage that I can bring to this moment? Let me share it with somebody. Let me write it down. Let me put it out there. Those micro moments start to stack, and you will notice that your confidence starts to increase. Not all ideas are good ideas, but we don't know unless we put them out into the world. We don't know unless we start to work on them, shape them, turn them from just a thought and a vision in our mind into something tangible in reality. Confidence comes because we try to get it perfect too quickly. The lack of confidence comes because we try to get it right the very first time out the gate. And if we don't see the perfect immediately, we tend to dismiss our ability to be able to do it. That's where confidence, and the more that we don't give ourselves permission to execute on our creativity, the more our confidence starts to drop. So Jane, what I would highly recommend to you is just take that breath, shoulders up, look at this, write that idea down and go, I am going to take a step towards realizing this. I'm going to take a step and be vulnerable and bring the courage. And ask yourself, what is the courage I can bring to this moment right now? What is the courage I can bring to this idea? That would put me out of my comfort zone. But when I do it, you'll notice it's not as scary on the other side. And suddenly you've stuck your confidence. I hope that helps, Jane. Julia, what have been my biggest struggles throughout my career? Great question. Wow, these are such good questions. Julia, my biggest struggles, it's kind of actually similar to Jane's, which is just when you are out there, when you have been gifted something that you believe in so deeply, you feel it in your bones, you wake up obsessing about it, you wake up thinking about it. It's trusting that you can go and do it. That for me is the hardest thing. Honestly, I think the other thing is that my mind, the way I'm wired, is that my mind lives really far out in the illegal, immoral, absurd, outrageous. It really does. And when I mean illegal, immoral, I don't mean it in a way of hurting society. I mean that my mind doesn't operate with boundaries and systems and structures. It allows me to go free. So it plants ideas in my head that are really disruptive to the status quo. And so the hardest thing for me that I find the most challenge is when everyone's saying, no, you can't do that. That's too crazy. I don't understand you. What are you talking about? That's not possible. Is sitting with it and not dismissing it and not letting it go and saying, there's something here. There's something here. If I feel it this strongly, there's something here that I need to go and do. And when I lean into that, I've noticed that the world starts to provide resources. But the biggest struggle is getting up and staying motivated to face those challenges every day in the world that I face personally. But now I've turned that into a game. Oh, challenge today. This is the challenge today. Yes, thank you. I get to work through something. And if I overcome it, I've proved it not only to myself, but I proved it to somebody else that there's a possibility. But I face them every day because we've got big dreams, impact 1 billion people, make major impact in the world. That's a hard thing to wake up and just do because there's so much work to be done. So staying motivated. But I go back to the ambidexterity and the multidexterity. I think about my purpose. I think where I'm putting my energy. I think about my competence, where I have to learn. And then I think, what's the courage I'm bringing to this today? So I hope that one helps, Julia. Ricardo, how do you focus? How do you focus? It's so hard to not procrastinate sometimes. Oh my God, this one. Ricardo, I'm going to reveal myself here. But I feel like I still have not found my real purpose. So I'm not really excited about the things I do and tend to lose interest on my track. Okay, maybe one of your superpowers is procrastination. We think that procrastination, we think drifting and going off into other places and needing to keep things open. You might be the kind of person that has to have 10 things going. I am. You should look at the tabs on my desktop. I've got like 50 tabs open. I've got 3 books here on my table, literally with my markers right here. I've got my worksheets. I've got my stuff. I've got another laptop open over here. That's the only way I can work. I've got to bounce, bite size, jump. When I try to focus on one thing, that is my focus. My focus is my mind wants to move here. Now it wants to move here. Now it wants to move here. I get those things done, but it took me a long time to realize that procrastination is a superpower. What I mean by procrastination is that what it was actually my mind doing is saying, take an excursion, go get some inspiration somewhere else. If we're not moving towards the things that we want, like you're saying, if you're void of purpose, if you're void of feeling like you have your thing, it's okay. Don't put pressure on yourself to have your thing. The question to ask yourself each day is, what is my thing? What would my thing be today? Because a purpose could just be a daily thing for you until it becomes something bigger. It took me a while. Today, my purpose is to show up and be the best that I can be. Bam, that's a purpose. That's relevant. Today, my purpose is to show up and be a really great colleague to my colleagues at work. It's my purpose to show up and be a great partner to my relationship. It's my purpose to be a good parent to my kids. It's my purpose just to be a good human. It's my purpose to open the door for someone today. It's my purpose to, there's that is massive. And then of course, there's the other side, which is like, my purpose is to make impact as you start to get to know what your superpowers are. At the same time, there's so many fascinating things you stumble upon in your life. It's so hard to know. It's okay. I'm not sure what age you are, Ricardo, but it's like, we're young. The world is changing so fast. There isn't one set track to success. There's not one set track to a breakthrough anymore. The goal right now is to try. The thing to do is keep stock of what you're trying. Do I like it? No, put it aside. What's the next thing that I could try? Until your mind and your body start to activate together and you say like, this is something I love. If you wake up dreaming about the same thing 2-3 days in a row, 4 days in a row, 5, you're onto something. Pay attention to that. I would not judge yourself or critique yourself for having lack of focus. It could be that what you're doing right now is exploring. What you're doing right now is being open to make those connections. But if you want to get focused, it is a discipline. I hear in front of my day, oh, 27, dude, you're young. I'm 46. You're supposed to be procrastinating. You're supposed to be exploring. Every day here, my day is booked into 30-minute slots. I write down what I want to accomplish, and then I see whether I can hit it. At the end of the day, I score myself, I journal myself. What did I do well? What did I learn about myself today? Every day, I stack those micro courageous moments, stack to exponential results. You got to find your thing, man. You're going to find your thing. You're going to find your thing. I promise you are. The fact that you're searching and exploring, that you're even questioning, means that it's coming to you. It is coming to you. I hope that helps. Let's see, I saw somebody else. Yeah, I really hope this helps. Everything that you're all asking for here, from Julian, from Jane, from Ricardo, there's a similar thread happening here, which is, what should I be doing? You know, sometimes there isn't a should. Question again, whose voice is that saying that you have to be doing a certain thing today? If it isn't yours, wake up in the morning, give yourself freedom to go and explore, to go find, to go discover, to go and relate. What's going to show up today for me? But one of the things that I found is, if you go back to an earlier part of the presentation, where there's major challenges that we can solve for in the world, there's major opportunities to bring our superpower. Ask yourself, what's a thing going on in the world that I'm resonating with, that I have empathy for, that I cannot tolerate anymore? Something that I would like to see shift, a future I'd like to create. Start zoning in on that. We don't have to have the perfect roadmap to get there. But what we can do here is start to figure out how to make that happen. And along that journey, resources, purpose, energy, it all starts to show up. Because when we're restricted, I have to be working today, I have to be disciplined, I have to not procrastinate, I have to be focused on something, that actually can close our mind off. That's going to the tactical and the operational. But what if right now you're in a very creative phase in life? I'm going to explore, I want to read, I want to discover, I want to figure these things out. That in itself is a journey. Imagine it's saying, okay, you got a year to go travel the world. Don't have to do anything specific. Just go travel, go and absorb, go see what you can do and who you can be. It's very different from, I have to be disciplined and do this thing and achieve this thing by the end of this year. Each of us might be in different phases of our life or different phases of our business, but allow yourself to recognize if you are in a creative exploration, and lean into that, have fun with it. And also recognize if you've actually got your thing and you're ready to execute and discipline yourself and get out there. we're all at different times. We're all needed for different reasons. So I hope that helps. Excellent questions. This is so cool. I love this. Thank you so very much. I know we've been on for some time. I appreciate Upstart for allowing us to go along. Are there any other questions in the chat stream here that anybody's got anything? I still see there's 10 people in the room. Please don't be shy. You can ask me anything. I'm here for you. This is all around mastering your mindset, your startup's biggest asset. And again, purpose, energy, competency, courage, multi-dexterity, leaning into these different spaces. Do you advise differently for teenagers versus adults? Eric, great question. Actually, what's kind of interesting is the difference between teenagers and results. I don't tend to try and advise differently. What I tend to do is ask the same questions, but listen differently, if that makes sense. Which is that with a teenager, they're trying to figure things out. A lot of the time, I have 4 kids, and 2 of them are young teenagers. So I live this every day, Eric. But it's they're in a very interesting place. Teenagers are an interesting place. But when a mind hasn't been tainted too much, a younger mind actually comes up with solutions better. So what I do with teenagers and younger kids when we are talking through innovation or creativity or building up confidence or looking at the world is I ask them, how would you solve this challenge without missing a beat? They've got solutions. They're unfiltered. Whereas adults, we've had to filter ourselves so much. And so the difference between the approach to teenagers and adults is that you can actually get to the point a little quicker with teenagers sometimes than with adults. Because with adults, you've got to bypass filters and projections and biases, and you got to help people unravel all the protections that and walls they may have built around themselves to get to the real truth inside of them. Teenagers, they'll tell you like it is, because they're like, I'm pushing back against you now, Dad. Like, I'm on my own mission. So it's a very different kind of energy based on the different ages. And for those of you listening, I would strike up conversations with different age groups because it's fascinating, and bring the same kinds of questions and just see how a fresh young mind with not a lot of life experience approaches it. Somebody with a lot of life experience and have gone through some pretty interesting journeys, how they approach it. It'll come at very, very different, very different. But I try to see everybody as equal, because I think what for me, I try to look at any age group and any person. How can I learn from them? Because I don't have all the answers. I'm learning just the same as you are every day. I hope that helps, Eric. Let me know if there's something else. Oh, dude, it's so amazing to have this time with you. Thank you. Thank you for your awesome question. This is a gift for me. I'm charged. I'm so fired up. Didn't even need my coffee. Jane, what books or audio would you recommend? Wow. Behind my green screen, actually, I have a green screen, is my library. Right now, I'm reading a couple things. I'm reading something interesting. I'll just tell you the ones that are on my desk right now. I'm reading a book called Value-Based Fees. For any of you that are out there making change and you're trying to understand what your business is worth and what you are worth, fascinating book. Changes the paradigm on the value and outcomes that we bring. And what is the value of us as a human being in a monetary sense? And what's the value of our business? The other one that I love is a new author called Benjamin Hardy. I'm reading something called Your Ideal Future. This is about how you consciously design your future. I'm reading another one from his called Personality Isn't Permanent. Right now, I'm kind of caught between a couple things. I'm caught between business analytic books. I'm caught between technology books, understanding exponential tech, AR, VR, neuroplasticity, how we push, really important. And then I'm also always fascinated about people's perspective about the future, psychology, neurolinguistic. Those are the ones that I really love. And then I've got journey books. I'm just having a look what else. High Performance Habits is another one by Brendan Bouchard. I'm looking at what it takes to be able to show up every day with the most important energy that you can have. And the thing that I'm learning right now that we're leaning into just between us and this recording and everybody else that might see this, is I'm leaning very deeply into the future of performance, which I believe actually lives in active recovery, meaning that what are you doing between the spaces of pushing, right? So like say with Ricardo's question is like, What are we doing in our downtime? What are we doing between the moments of extreme delivery, or where we're growing and building and making and grinding? What are we doing between those spaces to nurture our body, our mind, our spirit, our soul, our health, our vitality, our relationships, in order to be able to get back into the working day with renewed vitality and energy? I'm actually launching a product. For anyone interested, I'm launching a product with an amazing group called Source Technology. It's a source.io, which is all around HRV. We launch on the 21st of September, which is me. I'll be doing coaching and mentoring in a digital track while you're keeping your HRV score, heart rate variability score, which gives you signals if you're leading yourself towards burnout or if you're optimizing yourself towards greater physical performance. And then I coach based on those data sets on a daily basis. It's fascinating. It's first of its kind bio leadership feedback program is what we're calling it. I'll put some information onto the bonus section for everybody. Amazing questions. I hope this is helping everybody here. I still see we have a few people online. Still got 9 folk. I'm sure everyone's off drifting. But I'm yours. Ask me anything you want. I got to jump to another session in about 10 minutes. But until then, I'm all yours. What else would you like to ask? And thank you. These are incredible questions. It's getting me thinking too. How did you start this up, your advisory business that in? Oh, great question, Eric. So the way I started it up was it came as one of these strange gifts, sitting in a certain situation, an idea comes in and it just wouldn't let me go. It chose me. The idea chose me. And I let it sit for a while. I let it sit for a few years because I was running a different business, but it just kept showing up. It kept showing up in quiet moments. It kept showing up in busy moments. It showed up out of the blue when it was the thing I didn't think I should be thinking about. And when the calling was that big, I had to lean into it. But it was very hard for me because some of the discipline of building business isn't mine. I'm not amazing at operations. I'm not amazing at financials. I'm not amazing. I'm really good at strategy, at systems, at pushing the future, at getting the idea conceptualized, created, built. But I need the resources around me. And when some of those resources started showing up, I knew it was time. The universe basically planted it saying, there is no other choice right now. This is your thing. You have to go after it. And so I leaned into it. And over the last almost 4 years, it's evolved. It's constantly evolving because we're allowing it to evolve. And so it started as a business consultancy. It moved to more of an advisory. It's when now, obviously with COVID and all these other things, we were going around the world doing a lot of this in person. Like if this was a conference, I would usually get on a plane, fly to a place, stand in front of an audience, do workshops in those cities for days or weeks, and then come back here to San Francisco. Now I'm in my home office, as we all are, and I'm able to deliver these. So we had to figure out digital, and now we've found that we actually get to make more scale and impact. So this is an insanely amazing year for us, because like this, just all the amazing people on this call, all the countries that you listed, think about what we would have had to do to meet each other, get on planes and trains and travel. And now we get to do this. Just look at what Jason and Upstart have been able to do, the amount of human beings they've been able to bring together, have fabulous conversations. You know how hard that would be to do physically. The world has changed. And so our idea has morphed and changed with it. But that idea still won't leave me. But it did start with, I felt like I was gifted that, Eric. I was gifted that. And it didn't let me go. And then I had to realize that, yes, I do have the confidence, even if I don't know how to do it, I do have the confidence to make it happen. So that was how it started for me. I hope that helps. Are you on your own business? Are you starting something, or have you got something going on and that you're building? I'd love to hear what some of you guys are building and what you're making and what you're experiencing as well. And if there are any other questions, I have about 6 minutes left, and then I'm going to have to drop off. But please, you can also still get in touch with me on email or on LinkedIn or on Instagram, or go to the bonus page. But any other last question for right now? And I hope that helped, Eric. Still sort of the 9 folks in the box here with us in our digital room. I work at a foundation that helps young entrepreneurs and startups. Amazing. What amazing work, Eric. Mostly 25 to 35. I have a background in business and project management. I want to start my own business soon enough. Absolutely. Well, just think of what you're learning. Think of all the people that you're serving right now. Think of all these ideas that you're creating the space to bring into the world. Think of all the mentorship that you're providing, whether you realize it or not. One of the things that I would say in your position, Eric, that's so important is, I'm not sure whether you do this, but the biggest recommendation I would give, and I'm sure you do this, is at the end of each day or end of each week, carve out some time, an hour, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever you can manage. What did you learn this week? What did you learn this week? What was gifted to you this week as knowledge? What was an insight you got? What was an epiphany you got? What was a really big learning about the world, about people, about business that you got that you didn't have the week before? Keep a catalog of that. This is what you're being gifted. This is the fuel for the business that you're going to build. This is the direction of your purpose. This is what we get gifted on a daily basis that we sometimes, because life is so busy, we just overlook. We steamroll right over that stuff. Make time to reflect on what you're learning. What are you helping? What are the questions that people came and asked you about starting a business? How did you answer? How did they take those answers and apply them in the world? What did that start creating? Paying attention to all of that is so important, because the mind will start to give you more opportunities to excel on that. It'll start giving you ideas to take that learning and that knowledge that you're gaining and give it into a new idea and give it out to the rest of the world. It's fascinating. I celebrate you, man. I wish you all the best and success with your foundation as well. And write those wisdoms down. We do it every day and we do it every week. We have something called plan, do, review. Plan the day, do the plan. Usually it never goes according to plan. End of the day, review the plan. What worked, what didn't, what are the best parts of today we take into tomorrow? What did we learn? What could we do better again tomorrow? Fascinating process of motivation. Thank you, Eric. All right, my friends, I got 2 more minutes. Any last question from anybody out here? And thank you again to Upstart and to Jason and Nina and the team. What a fantastic conference and what a great group of people in this room. I really appreciate you all being here. All right. Well, with that, I thank you, Ricardo. I wish all of you an amazing weekend. For some of you, it's Friday. Congratulations to you for still being in a conference on a Friday afternoon. Go and absolutely have an amazing weekend. I'm going to leave you with one thing here because I feel it's maybe right to say it, and it'll be on the video as well. Hopefully, I'm not sure if they edit it out or not, but right now, as I started this presentation with, is the slowest rate of change we're ever going to experience again in the rest of our lives. Right now, the world needs courage. It needs role models. It needs people to lean into their courage. That's why I said on the last slide, like, courage the world, courage the future. It's an action. What could we do today that's a little outside of our comfort zone? The world needs us to step up. The world needs us to lean in. There's so many opportunities to solve. Inside of those opportunities are great business opportunities. There's wealth, there's impact, there's happiness, there's joy in there. My challenge and request to all of you is go out after this conference on whatever you learned in this conference, share it with somebody else. Share a learning that you got from today. And actually, that's something interesting. I'd like to hear what you learned from me today. Write me, put it on a message, on an email, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, whatever. What was 1 or 2 or 3 points you got? But spread that to other people. Give other people the possibility that that we can get together and learn and collaborate internationally like this together. It's so important. The world really needs us, because when we do this together, we get to elevate together. And when we get to elevate together, we achieve things that we've never achieved before. Really. So with that, I thank you all so very much. Have an amazing rest of the conference. Have an amazing weekend, and I look forward to seeing you all down the road again. So thank you so much.